Okay, so everyone loves a good dog,
Right.
right? A dog that's well behaved.
Yeah.
But more than that, like actually thinking, engaged.
Yeah.
That's what this whole brain training for dogs thing by Adrian Furicelli is all about.
Right.
It's an online course. And they say it can unlock your dog's inner Einstein. Which, I mean, who wouldn't want a dog that, like, tidies up their toys?
Right, yeah.
But the big question is, can it actually deliver on that promise?
Yeah, that's a good question.
So let's unpack it.
Yeah, let's dive in.
What I think is really cool about this program is how it goes right to the root of those behavior problems.
Yeah, like getting to the why.
Yeah, not just like yelling no at your dog every time they bark.
Exactly. It's like instead of just trying to stop the bad behaviors, you're trying to keep them busy mentally.
Engage their minds.
Exactly. And the woman who created the program, Adrienne Faricelli, she's a certified professional dog trainer, been featured all over the place. Even trains service dogs for military veterans.
Wow.
Yeah, she's the real deal.
Yeah.
And her method is all about using mental stimulation to tap into your dog's hidden intelligence.
Okay. Hidden intelligence. I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
But is there any science behind that, or is it just like a catchy phrase?
It's actually based on this concept called neuroplasticity,
Okay.
which applies to both humans and dogs. It's basically the brain's ability to change and learn throughout life.
So, like, we're not stuck with our bad habits.
Exactly. You can teach an old dog new tricks.
So there's hope for my dog who chews on everything.
Absolutely. There's always hope.
All right. So how does this program actually work?
Well, it's built around 7 modules, starting with like preschool and going all the way up to Einstein.
Wow.
Plus, there's bonus stuff like obedience training and tips for dealing with specific problems. It's like school for your dog.
So Einstein level. I'm imagining my dog doing calculus now.
Maybe not calculus, but some of the games are pretty impressive. Like at the Einstein level, there's this game called Tidy Up, where you teach your dog to actually put their toys away in a container.
Okay, that would be a game changer.
Yeah.
No more stepping on rogue squeaky toys in the middle of the night. But what about the easier levels? What are those games like?
So in preschool, you have things like target training, where you teach your dog to touch a target with their nose.
Okay.
Helps with focus and builds a foundation for more complicated commands.
I could see that.
And then in elementary school, you have games like Treasure Hunt.
My dog's nose is like his superpower. He'd love that.
It's perfect for that. It taps into their natural scavenging instincts. You hide treats and they use their nose to find them.
Okay.
Keeps them mentally stimulated and entertained.
So it's not just about teaching them tricks. It's about giving them mentally challenging activities.
Exactly. Because a bored dog is often a naughty dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
There's also another fun one in elementary school called the muffin game. You hide treats in a muffin tin, and they got to figure out how to get them out.
I'm getting hungry just thinking about it.
Right.
What about the higher levels, like university? What's that like?
University has games like Look at That, which is designed to help dogs who just bark at anything that moves.
Oh, that's my dog.
Yeah, you know, people outside are other dogs. It teaches them to focus on you instead of freaking out.
Yeah, that would be huge. My dog goes ballistic every time someone walks by the house.
Right. It's a common problem. This game helps by teaching impulse control.
So it's not just about stopping the barking, it's about getting to the root of the problem.
Exactly. It's a more proactive approach. And then, as we talked about at the Einstein level, you have things like teaching your dog to tidy up, and there's even a game called Play the Piano.
Play the piano.
Yeah.
I need to see this.
The program has really clear videos for every game, which is super helpful.
Okay, that's good.
But before we get too caught up in the fun stuff, we should also talk about the actual training methods.
Yeah, does this program use treats and rewards, or is it more like tough love?
One of the things I really like about brain training for dogs is that it emphasizes positive reinforcement.
Okay.
It's all about rewarding good behavior, not punishing bad behavior.
I've seen those old school training shows where they're constantly correcting the dog. It always seemed kind of harsh.
Yeah. Thankfully, dog training has come a long way. We know now that positive reinforcement is not only nicer, but it actually works better in the long run.
Okay.
It strengthens your bond with your dog and makes training fun for both of you.
So it's less about being the alpha and more about working together as a team.
Exactly. It's about working with your dog, not against them. And that fits perfectly with the whole idea of brain training, which is encouraging your dog to think, learn, and make good choices on their own.
Gotcha. So brain training for dogs sounds pretty comprehensive and well thought out. But what about beyond the games themselves? Are there other resources or support available?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Adrian includes a ton of articles about specific issues like barking, digging, jumping, all that stuff.
Okay.
There's also a whole section on puppy training, covering everything from potty training to socialization.
Nice.
And one of the best things is the online forum.
A forum. So you can connect with other people who are using the program.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a great way to ask questions, share progress, get support from both Adrian and other dog owners. It's like having a whole community cheering you on.
It's nice to know you're not alone in those "why is my dog doing that" moments.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It can make a huge difference, especially when you feel stuck.
So far, so good. Brain training for dogs has engaging games, positive reinforcement, tons of resources, and even a support system. But does it actually work?
Let's take a look at some testimonials from people who've actually used it, and you can decide for yourself.
All right, sounds good to me. Let's hear what they have to say.
Okay, so we've covered the games, the philosophy, the forum. It's a lot.
It is. And of those testimonials we just heard, they sound almost too good to be true, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's always the thing with any dog training program. You know, there's always a little skepticism.
Right.
But I think it's important to remember that success with any training method really depends on a few key things.
Like what?
Well, first off, your dog's personality and how they learn, you know. Every dog's different. Some are super motivated by food, so they'll do any game if it means getting treats.
Sounds familiar.
But others might need a different kind of reward or more encouragement. You have to figure out what works for your specific dog. It's not one size fits all.
Yeah, that makes sense. So personality's one thing. What else?
Another big one is consistency. You can't just do these brain games once a week and expect a miracle.
Yeah.
You got to put in the time and effort, work through those modules, practice the games regularly, and you got to be ready to troubleshoot any problems that come up.
So it's not like a magic wand you wave over your dog.
Exactly. It's about making brain training part of your daily routine, you know, really integrating it into your dog's life.
Okay, so it's more of a lifestyle change than a quick fix.
I think that's a great way to put it. And speaking of lifestyle changes, another important thing is balance between mental and physical exercise.
So you're saying brain training shouldn't replace those daily walks or trips to the park.
Exactly, right. While mental enrichment is super important for dogs, it can't be the only thing. They still need those walks, runs, playtime.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I wouldn't want to just sit at my desk doing brain teasers all day. I need to move my body too.
Right. It's the same for dogs. In fact, physical exercise can actually help with the brain training because it gets rid of all that pent-up energy and frustration, which makes them more receptive to learning.
So it's all about finding that sweet spot between wearing them out physically and mentally.
Exactly. Finding the balance that works for your dog. And another thing to remember is that training itself, whether it's mental or physical, can be mentally tiring for them.
So you don't want to overdo it.
Right. They need breaks just like we do. Time to process what they've learned and recharge their batteries. So if you notice your dog panting a lot, yawning, licking their lips, avoiding you, it's time for a break.
Okay, I'll be sure to watch out for that. Now let's go back to this idea of hidden intelligence. It's super interesting, but is there actually any science behind it, or is it more of a marketing term?
That's a great question. And while the term hidden intelligence might be more for marketing, the idea that dogs have untapped potential is definitely backed by science.
You're saying there's more to our dogs than we realize.
Absolutely. For so long, we underestimated how smart dogs really are. We saw them as loyal companions and working animals, but we didn't really get how complex their minds are.
But now research is starting to show us.
Exactly. Studies in canine cognition are showing that dogs are way more intelligent and adaptable than we thought. They have amazing social skills, problem-solving abilities, even a basic understanding of human language.
Wow, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So this hidden intelligence isn't about making your dog a genius overnight.
Yeah.
It's more about recognizing and nurturing the intelligence they already have.
Exactly. And that's where brain training comes in. By giving them mental stimulation and challenges, we're basically giving their brains a workout, helping them develop and reach their full potential.
It's like taking them to the gym for their minds.
Exactly. And just like physical exercise, mental stimulation has so many benefits. It reduces boredom, increases confidence, improves focus, and can even help them live longer.
So it's not just about making them smarter, it's about improving their overall well-being.
Exactly. And here's the really interesting part. This idea of mental enrichment applies to all animals, even us.
Are you saying I need to start doing brain training too?
Maybe not the exact same games, but the principle is the same. Keeping our minds active with new challenges, learning new skills, that's important for everyone.
That's fascinating. So this isn't just about dog training. It's about lifelong learning for all of us.
I like that. And it raises another interesting question. If dogs have this intelligence we haven't tapped into, what does that say about how we traditionally approach training? Not just for dogs, but for all animals.
Yeah,
Could we apply this approach more broadly?
that's a good question, and it brings up another thought-provoking point. What about the ethics of all this? If we're making dogs smarter, does that change our responsibility towards them?
That's a really complex issue that we need to think about carefully. As we learn more about how animals think, we need to consider the ethical implications of what we're doing. Are we simply unlocking their potential, or are we manipulating them for our own benefit?
It's like that classic sci-fi thing about creating artificial intelligence. When does our creation become more than just a tool?
Exactly. It's a question we have to deal with as we develop these more advanced training methods.
Well, it's not just about the practical side of training. It's about the ethical side, too.
Right. It's about respecting their intelligence and making sure we're using our knowledge to help them, not exploit them.
Okay, so we've talked about potential drawbacks,
Mm-hmm.
the need for consistency, the importance of balance, and even the ethics of brain training. But let's be real for a second. This all sounds great, but is brain training for dogs actually worth the money?
That's the million-dollar question. And ultimately, it's a decision each dog owner has to make for themselves. But I think it's helpful to consider what you're getting for your money.
Okay, break it down for me.
So for a relatively small investment, you get access to a whole program developed by a certified professional, tons of resources, a supportive community, and a positive reinforcement approach that prioritizes your dog's well-being.
That sounds like a pretty good deal.
And when you compare that to the cost of hiring a private trainer or dealing with ongoing behavior problems, which can really add up, brain training for dogs starts to look pretty attractive.
Especially since traditional training methods can be so expensive and time-consuming.
Exactly. Plus, you're not just investing in training, you're investing in a stronger relationship with your dog. And that's priceless.
I like that. So, what's your gut feeling about all this? Would you recommend brain training for dogs?
Well, honestly, it's tough to say for sure. You know, every dog is different and every owner is different too.
Right, it's not a guarantee.
No, it's not like you just push a button and suddenly you have a perfectly trained dog.
If only it were that easy.
Right, but the thing is, I think brain training for dogs gives you the tools to work towards that, you know?
Okay.
It's about giving you a better understanding of how your dog's mind works and how to use that to your advantage.
So even if your dog doesn't end up being a genius.
Right, even if they don't become the next Einstein, just going through the process of teaching them new skills and engaging their mind can make a big difference.
Yeah, it can strengthen your bond too.
Absolutely. And that's something you can't really put a price tag on.
So true.
You know, at the end of the day, I think it's about having realistic expectations. It's not a quick fix, it's a journey, and it's going to take time and patience.
But it can be a really fun and rewarding journey.
Oh, absolutely. And you might be surprised at what your dog is capable of learning.
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
Yeah,
You know, we often underestimate our dogs.
we really do.
So what would you say is the most important thing for our listeners to keep in mind if they're thinking about trying brain training for dogs?
I think the key is consistency. You gotta be willing to put in the work and make it part of your routine. If you do that, I think you'll see some amazing results.
Awesome. Well, on that note, I think we've covered just about everything there is to know about brain training for dogs.
We've had a good deep dive.
We have. I hope this has been helpful for everyone listening.
I hope so too.
And if you decide to give brain training for dogs a try, let us know how it goes. We'd love to hear about your experiences.
Definitely. And remember, have fun with it. Training should be enjoyable for both you and your dog.
That's so important. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into brain training for dogs.
It was my pleasure.
Until next time, happy training, everyone.